What are you doing, YouTube? What are you doing? It's showing it's still this website, man. I tell you. Oh, this website. I don't understand you. It's showing that I have two streams right now, and I can't stop the other one because when I go to the live. Website is so jacked up. So jacked up. What are you doing? What are you doing, YouTube? It all started with Google Plus, or should I say ended with Google Plus. Once they stripped that thing out, this website went bonkers. That is a theory of a lot of people and seems to be true. Why is it showing? Why is delete forever a thing? Excellent connection. Maybe if I go to the... This is insane. This is insanity. Try this. I might as well just give up and just end it. This thing already ruined. I still have people watching the old. Why can't I stop it? Why can't I end a stream that doesn't really exist? Can you tell me, Stream Elements bot? Can you tell me what's going on there? What is going on? All right, let me see if I can fix some things here. Yeah. Yeah, I know. What is it doing? I'm just gonna end this, man. I don't understand what's going on. I don't want to end it because I have some people in here, but I mean, it's showing that I have 2 live videos going, and that's obviously not happening. It's obviously not the case. I mean, what's happening? These are the same thing. What are you doing, YouTube? What are you doing to me? Why are you doing this to me? All right. I got 2 people watching a stream that doesn't exist anymore and 4 watching this one. Why can't I end? I should be able to end a stream that doesn't exist. I shouldn't be allowed to do 2 different live streams at once on the same website. I don't understand. What's happening? Stop saying it's live. It's not live. What does it mean when your nose itches? Well, edit options disabled for this. Why? What are you doing? Why are you doing it? Let's go back. I don't understand. I don't know what's going on. It's so frustrating. Why are you showing 2 live videos? I'm like, there's no way possible. No way possible. All right, let's go again and try to stop the stream that won't stop streaming. I don't know why. I don't know what it's doing and why it's doing it. And why I keep getting hit with, is there something? Is it the sword? I mean, why am I getting hit? It's a plastic sword. I have an excellent connection, excellent stream health. excellent. It is excellent. I don't know, Tom. I called you Tom. I don't know, Tony. I don't know what happened. YouTube took a dump, and now it's not letting me end the stream. It's not showing. It's showing that other stream is still going, but I come in here and I can't end the stream because it's obviously not still running, but it's showing that it's still running. So I don't know. I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna ignore it, I guess. But I don't want people trying to hop into that while YouTube is drunk. It is. This is not my computer or anything like that. It just crashed. Well, Google crashed. My Chrome crashed, and now this is a YouTube problem though. This is a Google Chrome problem because it's showing that I'm running two streams. If you click on the other stream, it's obviously not running live. It's insane. That's weird. That is weird. Thanks, YouTube. Can I back? Because this one isn't even showing. This one's showing live in studio. Oh, it is here. It's showing live streaming. Okay, that's working fine. But yeah, I can't. Well, I can delete it, but I don't want to delete it. Like, I can delete it, but I should be able to just stop it. But if I delete it, it's on forever. Because that's actually what it says, delete forever. And I don't want to do that because there's some stuff in there. And you guys are interacting, and there's, me talking about things. I don't want to delete it forever. Because, it's part of the stream. I just don't know why it's doing that. So for now, I'll just ignore it, and maybe YouTube will fix it at some point. Nintendo guy. Maybe they'll realize something's not right. But who knows? YouTube is broken, as I and many others have said for a long time. It's just broke. And I think it's Google Plus. I think them taking Google Plus and stripping it away from everybody's accounts totally jacked up YouTube. They won't admit it. Google won't admit that, but I believe because Google Plus is pretty integrated into everything that we did here on this website, and to strip it away the way they did, I think that just totally messed up everything. So, Antonio, what's up? What is up, man? Yeah, been streaming a while. Then I crashed. I just woke up. I had the best sleep ever. Good for you, man. Glad you had a good sleep. YouTube is sleep. And did you watch the PlayStation 5 event? Is that why you had a good sleep? Oh, you just said it. I watched the Sony event. You're way ahead of me. Automatically started two streams. No, I tried to restart it, the stream, but the other stream was technically still going, so it wouldn't let me jump into or back into the stream because it's acting like that other stream is going. So I just said screw it and started this one. And you would think that would automatically end the last one or the first one, but it hasn't. All right, so Antonio, it was Historica Epic Sleep. I snored like a grizzled bear. Nice. I actually got a little nap in earlier today where my wife said I was snoring, so, but it wasn't a good sleep. It wasn't a good nap because we had to get up and I think I might have got an hour, maybe not even. We had to get up and drive my mother-in-law to the airport. And she was here freaking out, because she is elderly. And she's worried about. So while she was here, she's watched the news the entire time. And I like to get my news and get out because most of the time they're just going to be repeating the same thing over and over again. So I just get my news and get out. But so my TV would drive me crazy listening to the same report over and over again. And she was just driving herself paranoid and insane. And she should be. She's had health issues, so we're worried. But nobody here is sick. We've been pretty much in the house at the pool. We have a pool, so we got to at least enjoy the pool outside. But we've been in the house most of the time. Anytime one person would go out, we did a nice rub down cleanse, and we got back. We had the sanitizer and all that stuff. Try to observe public distancing and all that cool stuff. So, yeah. So, Jamaican Gamer. So, what you're saying is YouTube kicked you out of your own stream? Yeah, that's exactly what it did. Kicked me out of my own stream and won't let me back in. Won't let me. I'm going to check again and see if that other stream is still going. Technically, it's supposed to be still going. Let me see if it's still showing up. And it is. It's still sitting there saying live now. But if you click on the video, you get like a little buffering thing. It's obviously not live. And I can't end it. I tried to go into the settings and, because you can end stream on the website and it won't let me do it. I'm not using any software. It's a straight, camera to the website, to YouTube. So it's not like there's software running. I'm just going to close out other things. Not that that's going to help. Let's see if they did anything. I closed out my, what do you call it, Elgato, but that's not running anything, so it's still showing. And I can't change my thumbnail. My thumbnail currently is the top of my head, which I don't really like, that being my thumbnail. But it won't let me go in and change my thumbnail. So it's definitely something wrong with YouTube, because you should be able to change your thumbnail in the middle, even in the middle of a live stream or in the middle of a video. That is an option you have when YouTube is running normally. So I don't know what's going on, but what I'm going to do is, oh, it's me. It's showing me. All right. Edit video. I should be able to go into edit video and change my thumbnail. I actually did the right thumbnail before this video went live, but it won't show up for some reason. It's not letting me. I mean, it's not a big deal, but oh, here we go. It's showing up now. Let's see. Change. Actually, I'm just going to leave it for now. And maybe I'll put something like take 2 on this video thumbnail. So we'll just roll with that, because at least if you look at that, if you look at the thumbnail for this video, it at least looks like I'm live and you can see me and not just a. So I'll worry about that later. But anyway, let's see what you're saying here. So what? Yeah, I said that already. So Antonio, so you also enjoy that PS5 review? I really like what the console looks like. It said nobody. No, actually, that's in the first part of this video that I got kicked out of. We talked a good while about that and how ambient inducing the so-called event was. Pretty lame, very lame. It was something you expect from like Microsoft. It's very corporate-y. I was talking about how Sony are the cool kids, and you don't really expect them to put out a video like that. You know, people were defending it by saying, "Oh, it's a GDC event. It was supposed to be for developers." Well, we're not the developers. They put it out there for everyone to see, and you have the right to critique it as a gamer, as a consumer. If they wanted to give it to developers, they could have just sent the video to developers to watch. Or what they could have done is sent the entire 50-minute, whatever it was, to developers, and then sent or made a cut down 15-minute version that went over like the core things. Because a lot of people checked out after 15 minutes anyway. So cut the video down for our consumption. You make it a big thing. You put it out on your Twitter. You put it out as, you know, it's a premiere on YouTube. We're streaming this thing. This is an event. And I think they disabled the comments or something, I heard. Because a lot of people were annoyed and upset. We didn't really get anything outside of some numbers and some Bob Ross show you how to paint stuff. Some PowerPoint presentation stuff. Super lame. This is my quick kind of going over what I said in the other video. If you want to go back and watch just the beginning, because that's where I talk about it. It's not in the first 10 minutes because I was waiting for people to file in. So probably the next 10 minutes or 15, 20 minutes after that. Antonio says Microsoft is doing great with the Series X. Beside the weird name, yes, it's definitely hard to get used to. Everything else is at least getting me hyped. And I'm a Nintendo fan saying this. Yeah, I don't know if I would say hyped, but I'm very pleased by what it's bringing to the table. I talked about the backwards compatibility of it. You know, that's a factor. I've been wanting to upgrade my Xbox OG. I have the original Xbox One, the BCR one. I've been wanting to upgrade that for about 2.5 years, 3 years now. I was going to get an X, but I kind of waited because I don't really have 4K TVs in the house yet. And not because I can't get them. It's just that I don't understand I don't see the reason or the reasoning behind running out and getting the first one that comes. I like to wait until they really perfect the hardware, the TVs, and because a lot of the early ones weren't smart ones. So I like to have a smart TV and a good price, and that's what I've been waiting on. I was in no hurry. If you guys, if you know me, I'm not overly crazy about that stuff. In film school, there were a lot of people running around, a lot of students running around, worrying about getting the greatest pixels and all that stuff out of their cameras and having the high-end this and the super-end equipment for that. The only equipment that I really cared about that was really good was my audio equipment. I always wanted good audio. You always want good audio in your videos or in your films. One of the things is even on YouTube, you can have okay visuals, but if your audio sucks, like nobody's going to sit there and listen to it. Nobody's going to sit there and go through it. And, so I wanted to make sure that worked. And a lot of the guys, they were so concerned about the visual fidelity, I didn't talk tonight, the visual fidelity of their films that the films themselves weren't that great as far as like technique, camera work, story, and editing. I'm a really good editor, and a lot of these guys weren't good at that stuff. And because they were so concerned with how the picture looked, they forgot about caring about how the presentation of it was, how they presented the story and the characters and all that. So, and it happens a lot with just like technology and gaming and whatnot. People are really concerned about the giggly wiggly tiggly flops, and they don't care as much about the analysis of the game itself. So yeah, so it is what it is. Let's see what you're saying here. Microsoft is great. Okay, I read that. Nintendo guy, Sony should have gone for the hype approach when revealing the PS5 to get people interested, kind of like when Nintendo released that reveal trailer for Switch in 2016. Yeah, Sony has always been really good at hype, and that's why I said this is really surprising. This reveal is very corporate. It's very something I would expect from Microsoft. It was super bland, super dry, and Sony is all about, or at least they used to be all about building up the hype. Remember Killzone 2? Like this is something they're really good at, and you know, I've been critical of that in the past, but it works for a lot of people, and I'm surprised they didn't do it. Where this is your first foray into talking about this console officially, and this stuff is bland. This is stuff that you should put out afterwards. You put out, to me, this how I would have done it. I would have revealed how the console looked, revealed what the controller looked like, because it's not like a Switch event situation, where you came off a failing console and you're reassuring people and you're doing what you're doing. You came off a very successful or you're coming off a very successful console. You want to keep that momentum going. You want to keep that hype going. You got some, pretty big first-party games coming out, exclusive games coming out still this year on the PS4. It's surprising that you would go this route with the first reveal. I would reveal what it looks like, show some tech demos, talk about some games, show the controller, talk about the controller. Supposedly there's going to be a lot to talk about with the controller. Reveal that, and then do your boring spec talk later on after you reveal the console with your hype, in hype mode. So this is just a bad reveal, and that doesn't mean that the system's going to fail or anything, but it does speak to enthusiasm. And I'm on the Series X, and the PS5 has the opportunity to change my mind on that, maybe, or it's not going to change my mind from getting into Series X. Let me stop that, but it had an opportunity to get me excited about PS5, and right out of the gate, and they're not doing that. So they'll be fine, I'm sure. But this is a very un-Sony like reveal. It wasn't a reveal. It's un-Sony like first official information coming from them about their new console, supposedly coming out this year. So we'll see. Antonio, Mark Cerny, made one of my favorite games, Marble Madness, back in the 80s. True. But as a speaker, wow, I can't watch it. Yeah, he's bland flakes. He's a tech guy. I mean, he obviously cares about games. He made Marble Madness. He was instrumental in Knack 2, I guess. I feel like there was something else out there that he was big in. I don't know, was it Jumping Flash? No, I made that. Something else that he was kind of big in on Sony in the earlier days. I can't remember, but yeah, boring. This is like early press conference E3 stuff that we just saw. And Sonic 2. Sonic 2. Okay. He was instrumental in Sonic 2. Okay. So, he's done some stuff. So he's not all about tech. He understands games. And gamers, I would think, to some extent. I was just pretty bored and surprised that it went down the way it did. I don't want to retread too much of what I already said, but yeah, this is different from what I said earlier. So, didn't Mark Cerny work on Crash Bandicoot? Says Nintendo guy. That one I'm not sure. I think that was all Naughty Dog, and I don't think he had anything to do with Naughty Dog. Naughty Dog pitched that game, and it was something they were working on. So, oh, is that true? I'm wrong. Oh, he's a producer. Okay, all right. So there you go. So I mean, he understands again other aspects of actually game creation. So you would think he'd be conscious about. Well, again, this supposedly was supposed to be for the GDC audience, which is developers, but they put it out for everybody. So you can't hide behind that and say, "Oh, this wasn't meant to be blah blah blah." Then this shouldn't be your first official reference to PS5, So there's that. But I talked about that already in the other currently streaming, apparently still currently streaming a live stream that I can't stop. That's not really streaming, but saying it is. Let me check again and see if. Oh, it's showing that it stopped. Oh, and it actually. Oh, that's weird. So it shows that it stopped, and it's showing the right time for when it stopped instead of going on for YouTube. Man, y'all got to get y'all stuff together, man. Seriously, you got my boy Gerard, the completionist. Broken. He's a broken man. Yes, I'm a fan of Gerard. If you don't know, he's a guy. He's been around for a long time, 10 years, probably almost on YouTube. And what he does, his shtick is completing games, like completing them, and doing really cool, like high production videos. And YouTube, the way it is right now, is totally screwed the pooch, and it's not working well. And so he put out a video basically talking about his mood. Now, he still loves making videos and all that stuff, but you make videos, especially when I think he has like 1.2 million subscribers. For whatever reasons, his videos are not reaching audience that it should be reaching. And it doesn't matter how many subscribers you have on YouTube, because your videos are not being pushed. There's something off. Like, I wish I could share my screen right now, but I can't. I've lost, according to YouTube, I've lost 120 subscribers since last year. But I'll look and I'll see new subscribers all the time, but it won't show up in my YouTube account settings and whatnot. It just won't show. And I'm seeing new subscribers. I can go and click my little button that shows subscribers, and it'll say subscribed an hour ago, subscribed a couple days ago. But my counter for subscribers does not move. It's right now just sitting at 5,000. It's been sitting there for over a week. Something is technically wrong with this website. And, YouTube is broken, and it's breaking the mentals of YouTubers because they're not doing anything wrong. I feel like I should be at least at 10 to 15,000 subscribers right now. But something happened a couple years ago after the apocalypse, after the severing of Google Plus. This website went bonkers, and they don't know because he actually is big enough as a million subscriber channel He's actually big enough to where he can, contact Google and the YouTube and they talk to him, and he's getting nothing from them. They don't understand what's wrong. He doesn't understand what's wrong, and it's frustrating and it's just sad. And people will look at it, well, money, blah blah blah. It's not just about money. Obviously, he built his channel up. He's added staff and whatnot, so he has more people to pay, and that's a stress. And you don't just want to get rid of people for something that maybe will be fixed. Hopefully, will turn around. So you want to try to hold on to these people you've built relationship with. But he loves what he's doing. He still loves it. He just hates this part of it. And again, it's no fault of his own or no fault of anybody who's having these weird things happen to their YouTube channel, these unexplainable things. It's not their fault. It's not our fault. It's YouTube. It's broken. It's screwing up everything. So it is what it is. I don't know. Mark Cerny is actually a great guy. There's nothing wrong with him. No, there's nothing wrong with Mark Cerny. I wouldn't say anything like that. Yesterday's reveal, just dumb choice, bad leadership. Yeah. And I talked about that too, Antonio. Leadership, they just shuffle people around. They took Sean Layton and said, see you later. Why? He was a big part of, PlayStation 4. And I would say the success of it from my point of view. And they let him go, like unceremoniously. It was like in the tweet. They didn't care. I don't know what they're doing. I have no idea what they're doing right now. And it's going to lead to destruction. And I don't mean like total destruction or anything, but it's going to lead to affecting the PlayStation brand if they don't fix what they're doing. It's confusing. It's very corporate feeling, and not very Sony, not very PlayStation. It's more Sony and not more PlayStation as it should be. So I don't know what they're doing. Besides smelling their own farts and saying, delicious, But that's what happens when these companies, time and time again, even though they know history, every time they win and win somewhat big, they get big heads, they get real cocky, and they just do stupid things. And every time they get slapped, they get humbled again. And it's like a cycle that just keeps going on. It's like, will you guys learn from history? Will you learn from your mistakes? Take that goodwill, take that good, will you built between gamers and yourself, and continue to grow it and not be arrogant as hell. Yes, Sony is arrogant right now, Antonio, as you know, and they just, I don't know. I'm not going to say they're Konami or anything like that. They're not that bad, but they feel very corporate right now. PlayStation. Sony should be corporate because it's a corporation, but PlayStation right now feels very, very corporate, and that's just unfortunate. They shouldn't be. They're supposed to be cool kids, like I said, and they forget about that. They just feel very corporate. They're not on that level yet, but the feel I get is like Sega of Japan in the mid-90s. They feel very arrogant and, for not good reason. They have good reason. They have a reason to feel the way they feel, but it just doesn't make sense if you're smart and you understand the history of anything. And the PlayStation fanboys, man, I see them arguing with Xbox fans, only talking about specs. I stopped doing that after the 16-bit era. Yeah, like, the thing is, you've already lost, quote unquote, lost that narrative. Your console isn't as strong, which, who cares? Like, at the end of the day, the difference isn't going to be that big. We don't think. Maybe certain margins you're not gonna. Maybe you don't have the 120 I would like to see Microsoft pull that off, actual 4K, 120 frames per second. If they can actually do that, outside of like an indie game, which is probably what's going to happen, that would be impressive. So you won't have that much difference as far as that goes. I like how elegantly they designed the Xbox Series X is, and I just want to see how the PS5 is designed physically. That would be interesting. I don't think you're giving anything away with that. Like it's not like Microsoft can run back and change the design to copy yours. The time for that, has passed, and I don't think anybody does that anymore. Sits around and waits to see a design. Maybe they'll, just check out features and whatnot, but that you're not going to get around that. I don't know. It's just strange and not very smart. Not very smart on Sony's part. And at the end of the day, none of this may matter. They may pull it together and have a big, cool reveal. But yeah, fanboys. It's funny because a lot of them are kind of in denial about things, and they're making excuses for that event, saying it was GDC, blah blah blah, and it's a bad event, bro. Like it was just bad. Solid information, but you could have done it way better than that. And you lost the power war. Again, not that big of a deal, but you have to concede that, looking from specs wise, the Series X is going to be more powerful. But so what? You're not. I feel like you're not going to only have to worry about the Series X. You're going to have to worry about Lockhart and what it wants to do, what it's going to try to do. Because I don't. The idea is that it's going to be cheaper than both of those, a cheaper option for Xbox fans. They said 8 teraflops or something like that, 7 to 8 teraflops. So we'll see how that goes. But Microsoft, I feel like they're covering all the bases that they can, and they're cornering, to some extent, Sony and the PS5. Taking away narratives that Sony was able to enjoy this generation. So, what's up, Renee? How's it going? Let's see what you got there. Antonio, does the majority of the PlayStation fan base actually notice all the visual differences? Do they care about 120? No, they don't. Those guys who care about that, who talk about they care about, they just want a talking point, an argument point to say, hey, we got this over you. They don't really care about that stuff because the minute they didn't have the most powerful console, that changed. Oh, look at the games. And they're not wrong, but it should have been about the games from the beginning, not about, your console is slightly weaker than ours. Like, most games, if I showed you side by side on PS4 and Xbox One, you wouldn't know which version which was, because it's very marginal as far as that. Sure, you can say, well, is there really that big of a difference between 8 or 900p and 1080p? No, not to most naked eyes. You can't tell. So, but they act like, 900p, that kind of stuff. It's a talking point. And so that's what I'm saying about this, is that they're losing that talking point. They won't have the power talking point. Features talking point is still out there. Services talking point Microsoft has had for a while. They're doing some very consumer friendly things on the services side. So there's that. And now it's just a battle of games, and nobody has showed games yet, and everything has been assumptions. We assume we're going to get another God of War. I say we, like I don't play God of War, but we know we're getting another Halo. We know we're getting another Forza. But after that, it's a crapshoot. It's what will Microsoft actually do? with the studios they acquired, and they got some good studios. You can't act like they don't. They do. So if they do nothing, like they've done most of this gen with them, because these guys came in late, then that's going to be a problem. But I don't think they will. I think for me, this is like it as far as games go. It's not going to change my mind on the Series X. It's going to change some excitement on potential games, but I believe Microsoft was setting themselves up for a pretty good E3 as far as games reveals, and they should talk about games that won't come out for 3 years. That's kind of what E3 is about. It's about hyping people. But if you have studios working on something that you feel is cool, reveal it. Talk about it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So they have studios. Obviously, they have the bank account to do some cool things. I think they're doing something smart, business-wise. I'm not saying consumer-wise. It doesn't mean that big of a deal for us, but they're doing something smart by cornering, like I said, Sony to certain or walling them in on both sides. It's like, okay, we may have a more expensive console, but it's offering these things over what you're doing, and we may have a lesser expensive option as well that's under what you're doing, but also it kind of cancels out some stuff. So because they'll be taking the we have a higher end, more powerful blah 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 thing that you can buy for you for those who want it, but we also have a lower end thing. So we're covering that basis as well for people who want new hardware. Maybe they're like me; they have a original Xbox One, and then wanted to upgrade, but they don't want to spend as much as the Series X might cost. So I think that's a smart business move to kind of wall Sony in on both sides. Now they have to deliver with games, and they have the potential to do that because of the houses they acquired. They just have to let these guys develop games, and so we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, let's see. Renee said I might buy an Xbox Series X. This is going to be my first Xbox console, so I'm pretty excited. Wow, that's cool. I don't know if I'd buy a Series X if this is my first, because like I said, one of the big things for me is being able to bring my library of 100 plus original Xbox 360 and Xbox One games over to my Series X. So I already have a built-in library that's going to be enhanced. So, that's a cool thing for me. I'm not sure if I would jump into an Xbox not having that history. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just saying me personally, I might not do that. Let's see. I'm really liking the consumer-friendly approach they're taking. That's cool. Antonio, that's actually very important. I missed something. Antonio says Xbox is very consumer-friendly, and the Series X is fully backwards compatible. Sony maybe has better exclusives now, but later in the future that could change. Yeah, that could change. Microsoft has Ninja Theory. They have, some good pedigree. They had some good studios. It's the company that made Outer Worlds. I mean, they got some good stuff going on there. So, hopefully those guys are working on, or will work on, a Fable game. Because, to me, if they get Fable right, that's a game changer type of game. And obviously you can still get this on PC, but, console gamers game on consoles. And there's way more who do that. Still, that slowly, starting to even out, but it's going to be a while. Some people just love plug and play, plug it in, play the game, you're done. They don't have to worry about dealing with drivers and whatnot for the PCs. So let's see. Renee, that's actually a very good point. Renee, Red Knight makes a lot of good points that convince me this is coming, this coming gen for an Xbox. You talking about his? He put up a podcast recently, I think from a week ago or whatever. Yeah, I think he talked about. I think that's what you're talking about. We talked about Xbox and whatnot. Yeah, most of those points are sound. So I mean, I'm not new to Xbox, so these are things, I bought an Xbox One mainly for Master Chief Master Chief Collection, and Sunset Overdrive, and I was very happy with that. And the whole not a whole lot came after that I was really excited for. So there was a period, I think in 2016, where I was like, I really regret buying an Xbox One. But the more they did with backwards compatibility and all that stuff, it increased the value of the system. So, I was, I adopted Xbox back when they first came out. I was very upset that they bought Rare and did nothing with them. But they had some cool things that I wanted to play. So I bit the bullet and I picked up an Xbox OG. And then I bought a 360 in 06. And I started accumulating, little by little a library. And I bought a Xbox One in, I want to say, September 2014 or something like that. About a year and a half after it came out. So, or not a year and a half, actually, it was a year. So yeah, the Rare Collection is more than enough to buy an Xbox. Talking about Rare Replay, yeah, it's great. I wish they would put it on Switch. They can't put it all on Switch. Some of those games. I mean, that collection I don't think will fit on a cart because a lot of that stuff wasn't actually on the disc. A lot of those games were Xbox Live games, like even like Banjo-Kazooie was just downloads from Xbox Live. You just had basically a code on the disc. So I'm not sure if they would fit on a cart. You end up having to download some stuff. But maybe they should modify it to where you get certain games. You get the N64 classics and whatnot. You get their older games, and I think, and then maybe Grab by the Ghoulies or something like that. But then like Viva Pinatas and stuff like that would be in a separate collection, or you have to buy it, or you have to download it or something like that. So some of those games would just have to be straight up downloads. And but it's a really good collection. It was $30 when it came out. So, and it's 30 games. So you basically, I think it's like 30 games, right? So you're paying basically $1 per game. It's insane. Insanely good value. So, yeah. I was about to get into like my Nintendo talk. It's 1:30 a.m. What am I doing? Before stream cut out the first time, the only time. That's why I got old Link chilling in the background, Master Sword, and I was talking about like just how great those Nintendo games are, man. Like to where you think about them beyond gaming, think about them just like entertainment value, think about them just like cultural impact, and that's what's really cool about Nintendo games. And there are other companies. I don't know why my TV keeps turning itself on. I just turned it off and it's about to turn itself on again. I mean, there are other companies that reach that level. Well, cultural impact level. Nintendo, as far as I'm concerned, makes the best games, hands down. And I'm about to beat Skyward Sword again for the third time. I'm at the last dungeon before you do the 2 boss battles. And for those who haven't played it, I'm not going to spoil it, but I just think, man, how great that game was, even on Wii. It was obviously pushing the Wii to its limits. Just the sky loft and the sky area, and how they set it up, and how they did that with such tiny RAM, like 88 megabytes of RAM. Let's see, Antonio. I was surprised Sonic had such an impact. The movie did great. Now I wonder how a Mario movie will do. Yeah, me too. I feel like if Sonic did that well, that a Mario movie will do, an animated Mario movie will do better. I think it's completely animated through, what is that company? Illumination, is that their name? Is one of the Minions and whatnot? But yeah, I think it will do great, especially if it's a good movie. Because Mario is just that dude. Like, he's just that everybody character. So, Renee, Skyward Sword is very underrated. Yeah, I mean, outside of IGN, I mean, IGN gave it a 10 out of 10 back in the day. And, I would have probably given it that too. It's at least a 9.5. I like it better than I like it better than Twilight Princess. Thinking of 3D Zeldas. I like it better than Majora's Mask. 3D console Zeldas. It's right there with what's it called? It's right there with Wind Waker. I like Wind Waker more, and they both at the time, because obviously we have Wind Waker HD now, but they both at the time had annoying factors to the gameplay. Just things that I just wish were not in the game. And well, for Wind Waker, it was the Triforce hunt that was tedious. I think people make it out to be more tedious than it was, but it was definitely tedious. I mean, I can live with it, especially back then. Hardware, how you played games, it was very different, so it didn't bother me as much. I was really into Skyward or Wind Waker anyway. Those little things that they fixed in like I said, in the HD version with the having controlling the wind and whatnot on the boat, all that kind of stuff. And I wish there were more dungeons. Obviously, they cut some dungeons. I think they cut 2 dungeons. It's confirmed they cut 2 dungeons from the game. And one of them had to do with Lord Jaboon. I think there was probably a dungeon centered around going inside of him again. Well, not again, because it was Jabu. It's a different giant fish in Ocarina of Time. But I think, I had less issues with that. My issues with Skyward Sword is the repetition. I think there was some padding as far as like your backtracking. There was some very Zelda-like backtracking, but that stuff was actually pretty good because you were going in different areas and you're doing some cool stuff. I like that whole time stone thing. I thought that was pretty cool and very well done. Again, a console that had 88 megabytes of RAM. I thought that was excellent. But two things that really kind of got on my nerves was the imprisoned, the repetitive nature of fighting the imprisoned, and the tears, the silent, what is it called? Silent something. Those areas where you have to collect the silent tears. I didn't mind that they were there, but you had to do it 3 times for both of those things, and that just made it feel tedious to me. especially because you're playing the game, and I'm remembering now because, like I said, I'm going through it again right now. Silent Tears, right, Renee? I'm going through it, and like I'm feeling like I'm about to do something different, and then bam, oh, you got to do the tears gathering again. Oh, you got to do the imprisoned fight again, and it's different. They change things, but it's mostly the same. I wasn't in love with the weapons stuff and storing it, but that wasn't that big of a deal. So I'm doing some nitpicking here, but it's definitely one of my more favorite 3D Zelda games. Let's see, and it. Oh, and another thing, I don't know why this was uber tedious. When you pick up something that you've already picked up, a bug or something like that, you picked it up before, and the game acts like this is your first time picking it up. It does the whole dun, 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 like every time. That was unforgivably annoying. I don't know why that was in there. There must have been some kind of bug where they couldn't stop it from happening. Because Alan Newman, Miyamoto had to know that was going to be annoying for players. So I think I'm thinking it's a technical reason why that was stuck in the game. But the boss battles were great. The dungeons were great. Very memorable. A little bit more memorable for me because I'm going through it again right now. But a great game, and it pushed the hardware. And Nintendo was really good at pushing their hardware to the limits without it looking like it, without it like, the game chugging. I guess you could say that a little bit in Breath of the Wild, and in certain areas, but for 98% of that game, you had none of those issues really. So great. I mean, they get it. And I was saying is that Nintendo and Sega have my eternal respect because they didn't come in with a name. They created a name for themselves. Sony was a big electronics name brand by the time they dropped the PlayStation. So they had that recognition built in. They had the resources that nobody else had. Nintendo didn't have movie studios when they came in. They didn't have audio, music studio. They didn't have any of that stuff when they came in, and that is a big thing, especially if you're making, you want to make Hollywood type of games. I probably passed Skyward Sword like 5 times, Renee. What do you mean? Beat it? Yeah, this will be my 3rd time. But yeah, like Sony had a lot of resources that game companies don't have when they started. Sega didn't have that. Sega came in, they scrapped. They came in from the arcades, and they had their, they came out with the Master System, and almost nobody cared. And it did pretty well in Japan, I think, and in the UK, if I'm not mistaken, or not Europe, or mostly UK. But they scraped in North America. They fought for their market share, and they deserved it. And Sony, they worked for what they had. Don't get it twisted. Like they came out with some stellar games and tons of software, and they changed the industry for good and bad. But they they had a name, whereas Nintendo didn't. And Nintendo came in at a time where nobody cared, at least in America, nobody wanted video games. And they had to convince people that that wasn't just a passing fad, that this is a pastime. This is a hobby that's going to go on forever, and it's going to eventually outperform box office wise or money wise movies. So they'll always have my respect for that. And as long as they keep doing what they do, well, Nintendo anyway, Sega forgot. Sega forgot about their games. I don't know what's going on with that company. As long as Nintendo keeps doing what they do, um, bringing bringing creative hardware and massively creative, innovative games. Um, they're always going to be my fave. You know, they have my favorite games, so it's going to be hard for them not to be my favorite game company, unless they falter with the software at some point. And that is an anxiety I have. I talked about how, you know, a lot of these guys are getting old. You know, they're not going to be around forever. And you have studios that have proven themselves, like the Splatoon guys, the Mario Kart team. They did ARMS, and they did, you know, obviously they're great at Mario Kart. They understand, you know, they've been mentored really well. So it's gonna be great to see what they do. Let's see what you're saying here. I always look forward to fighting that Hindu-looking robot with the detachable swords in the ancient cistern temple. Yeah, that was it's a pretty cool fight. It's very cool. That's what I love about Skyward Sword. And I have my new remote and nunchuck right here, or one of them anyway. Is people complained about the controls in Skyward Sword, the motion. It was really well done. Like, you know, the Wii Motion Plus suited that game really well, and the sword moved as you moved. And occasionally, you know, when you use certain items like that flying, I don't know what it's called, that drone basically. If you sometimes it would come out of a sink, or not sink. No, it wouldn't be in the right. What the hell is it called? You have to recenter it or whatever, occasionally. Or if your batteries died, you have to, you know, put your controller down and let it. Yeah, the Beetle. Thank you, Renee. You'd have to resync it, you know, with the controls or whatever. But that's pretty rare, and the game controls perfectly. Like, you know, it's set up for you be doing precise moves, like doing a stab, doing a, you know, left or right side slash, overhand stab or slash, and underhand. Like when you fought imprisoned, you had to do like up stabs because, you know, he was laid on his back, and you had to hit the spike in his head to make it go into his head as he laid that way. So it was very precise. And you got what are the plant creatures called, where their mouths would open horizontally and vertically, and you had to slash them those ways to kill them. I mean, just ingenious stuff, I think. And I just think some people just, you know, motion controls, they just turn them off automatically. They won't take the chance to actually learn them. And I love this setup. Like, this is the future of gaming for me. And unfortunately, not everybody else sees it that way or saw it that way. Oh, I'm just waving my hands, wagging like an idiot. Well, if you're doing that, you're doing it wrong. You're not playing it the correct way, because it's not just do whatever. That will work sometimes, but you run into Girahim, and that ain't working. You run into those bokoblins that have the electric swords, and you can't just go wagging at them, because you're gonna hit the sword, you know, and it's gonna electrify you, and you're gonna end up dying. And that's another thing I liked about the game, was that it was one of the, you know, one of the issues with, quote unquote, issues with the Zelda games people have, is that, oh, they're too easy as far as combat and whatnot. Well, this is one of the games that, you know, emphasized combat and did it really in a really smart way, and it was great. Yeah, motion controls are super underrated, and I wish, you know, because it's not that difficult. It's just, this is what we've been doing from the beginning. How many times, I know in the 80s especially, as a young kid, I would watch other people play, and sometimes I would do this too, but they would be trying to basically move their character by, you know, doing the control, turning it and whatnot. Like, This made that actually do something. It's whereas and back in the day it didn't do anything. So this is a very one-to-one thing where it's like, oh, I get it right away. My motions matter, and I understand motions because I've been doing motions since I was a toddler, a baby. And I understand that doing things, cause and effect. So to me, it's just brilliant, and I just wish the industry as a whole picked it up better. I mean, they had to connect, and that to me didn't work because you need something tangible to feel. That's why the Connect was way more gimmicky than Wii Remote and Nunchuck. And then you had Sony, not going all the way with it. They just kind of, I won't say half-assed it, but they didn't go full bore with the Move. The Move is actually really well used right now with the PS4 VR. So there's that. So that's cool. I'm glad that's a thing. I'm actually going to get a PSVR at some point and get caught up on those, the good VR games because there are a lot. But yeah, like I said, Skyward Sword, phenomenal game. And I want to do a video just talking about Nintendo's 2017. But there's a narrative that goes along with that, so I don't really want to talk about that here because I really want to kind of break that down. And Mario Odyssey, phenomenal. Splatoon, Wii U to Splatoon 2, phenomenal. And they just continue to put out these amazing games and very inventive, very games that take you back, take you. And then Nintendo's really good at that. And it's not just nostalgia, because Medieval remake or remaster, or whatever it is, that's nostalgia. But nobody cares about that game. People are initially like, "Oh, Medieval's coming back," but nobody cares about Medieval. The remaster. It's not just nostalgia. You have to do something with it. Nintendo was really good at doing something big with it. It's just a Mario game again. So you're telling me Super Mario Brothers and then Super Mario 64 are the same thing? Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario 2 North America aren't even aren't the same thing. Yeah, there's similarities. They're both platformers, but they're so different in gameplay. And I wish people would understand that. People on the outside of Nintendo want to have this narrative. Oh, it's the same game. You could say that about certain series. Maybe series they don't really make anymore, like F-Zero or Wave Race. I mean, those are very similar. There's not a whole lot you can do to those. And that's one of the reasons Nintendo doesn't make them anymore. So I respect that, but I want to know. It's a racing game. It's okay to just give us a new installment. I wish they would do that. And you can maybe say Donkey Kong Country to Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. It's very similar outside of obviously the visuals and whatnot. But again, there's a great games, great installments. You just want new ones after that. But Nintendo tends to experiment a lot with like Mario and Zelda even. They get into periods where the games are very similar. But then you have Breath of the Wild, Mario, the same thing. Mario 1 through 3, they're all side-scrolling platformers, but they're all pretty different from each other. They're all very unique. They have a unique art style. Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 2, North America, Doki Doki Panic, and Super Mario Brothers 3 are very different looking games, visually and gameplay-wise. Yeah, they have Mario and Luigi in the game. They jump on things. But there's a whole lot more to it. And then Super Mario World, my God, it was as big of a crazy difference as Mario 3 was. And I go back and forth on which one of those games I love the most. because they're just both so great, but they're still very different. And then, obviously, I don't count Yoshi's Island, even though it's called Super Mario World 2. They did that for marketing reasons because they weren't sure if Yoshi on his own could sell the game. But man, talk about, again, another crazy different art style and gameplay than any Mario game. But it's still a Mario game, a platformer, side scroller, but it's so inventive, it's so different. And then obviously the God, Mario 64. Yeah, it's the same character, he jumps on things, but it's an adventure, a 3D platforming adventure game. And that, automatically, and it did 3D platforming well, where nobody else could figure it out. Nintendo had to show, hey, this is how it should control. This is how your camera should be. Well, mostly, there's some growing pains with that, but still, it was way better, leagues better than anything else out there before it. And it showed the industry something. Zelda came out, it was very much in line as far as like how you went through the world as Link to the Past, and it had some similarities there. But obviously, it's in 3D now, and you have to deal with 3D space, and it did it expertly. And it introduced Z targeting, which everybody copied right after that, because Z targeting is great. And to this day, that's used. What do you squeeze like the left trigger button on a controller, and you're playing a third person, outside of those cinematic ones that kind of do something different. But action game, even like a Bayonetta, a God of War. I don't know if the new one does it, but you lock on to things. That wasn't the thing before Ocarina of Time did it. And Miyamoto, he's just a genius. The guy is just a game design genius, and that doesn't come along very often. It's so cool because I've been, I talk about EPN, Electric Playground Network. For those of you fans who've been around a while, those guys came from like the Tech TV G4 era. So they were doing things mid '90s. I think EP on TV anyway kind of stopped around the mid 2000s, but now he's been back for a while now, Victor Lucas, and he has a YouTube channel, Electric Playground Network, which is sorely underwatched and sorely undersubscribed to, and I just don't understand it. It's like it's a television show on YouTube about video games, and it's high production values, and it just drives me insane that it doesn't do better. And Victor, look, he sounds the same, he mostly looks the same, and it's a really well done channel. And I don't know how, because they don't get enough views. I'm guessing they have some kind of subsidy thing with Canada, because they do things like that to promote companies and whatnot in Canada. We don't really do that as much here, but I've been watching like early episodes of that. Going back to the first E3 they showed, and interviews with Miyamoto, who's so young, with Victor Lucas, and people talking about him. I saw one with John Romero, not John A. Romero of Dawn of Dead, or Dawn of the Dead, the Dead series. John Romero from the Quake series and whatnot. And he went off and did his own thing, Daikatana. And he was talking about Miyamoto, and you can see the admiration and the respect. Even, back then, obviously Miyamoto had been around a while and done some great video games by then. I think this is right after Mario 64. So he had that admiration, but it was just cool. It's cool to see that, because you don't really see that as much anymore. With all the information we get, all the stuff we get, we don't get that kind of like deep analysis. We don't get that kind of reporting and interviewing You don't get that as much anymore. Everything's about podcasts and just voices talking at each other. And there's something about somebody sitting down in a room talking to a developer or whatever, and you get to see how they talk and they look and their fluctuations, and that's all important to their believability, their credibility. So, fortunately, we don't have that as much anymore. But kind of went on a tangent there, talking about Nintendo. But their game, I mean, it's really magical what they do, what they continue to do, and I just have anxiety, about them being able to continue that in the future. I believe they can, but when you lose these figureheads, like we've lost Iwata, we've lost Reggie. He's not dead, but he's moved on, and Miyamoto is he's getting up there. Numa's a little younger, so we'll have him for a while, I believe. And everybody who works for Nintendo, they seem to love working for Nintendo, so they're not in a hurry to retire. I think Reggie's a different case because he came from a different world beforehand, and he's been at Nintendo for a long time. So you just kind of want to retire and enjoy your life. I get that. His capacity was different. It wasn't such on the creative side that it was on the business side. So it's a little different. But you just hope. Oh yeah, Sakurai. How could I forget Sakurai? Thanks, Renee. Sakurai, he's actually growing younger, as Renee points out. So it's a little different with him. But he's been in situations where he was close to not working with Nintendo anymore. We don't remember it now, but around the time of Brawl, he was not really internal Nintendo anymore. He was ready to move on and do other things. And I don't know what changed. I'm glad it changed because he's still around. But he was kind of ready to go on and start his own company and stuff. And I'm glad he remains. And he's still very excited about Smash. But again, who knows what the future's going to hold after he finishes this Fire Pass. I'm a creative person. I'm not on that level, but I could be, I think, if I had the opportunity. But I understand how you can want to just do something different. You want to do something new. And he's been doing Smash for a long time. And I want to see him do other things. I want to see him do a Kid Icarus. I want to see him do a sequel to Uprising, or something else. He's a dedicated, great game designer, and it'd be great to see him continue doing new things. Yeah, you asked earlier. I forgot to get to it, Renee. Did I hear about the Smash Direct delayed? No, I did not. This is the first time I'm hearing about it. I didn't know there was a Smash Direct. And I guess you said Stevie is the reason why, which, is understandable. Because a Direct, while it's digital, it still takes cameramen and talent sometimes because you have to have somebody in front of the camera on the way to do Directs. I mean, they can change it up. They can just do a voice thing where, but that's not as interesting. It's not, you want to see Sakurai, you want to see stuff like that. But they could do it. They can change it up a little to where it's more isolated as far as people working on it. Somebody gets their script together. They get the script together, send it to whoever's going to do all the lines, and put that audio track together, and then have a video editor get the video they need, the footage they need, and edit it together. And so it's not a production where there's a bunch of people that have to be around each other all the time. So I am working from home now until April 6th. Yeah, I'm a teacher on my other job. So we're out till April 15th, I believe. And hopefully not longer than that, but that could change, So I think I'm going to be set up pretty soon here to stream lessons. I think that's going to happen sometime next week, where they're going to set me up. So that'll work. To some extent, it's going to be very strange, but it's something. It'll work. But yeah, the CV, man, it's messing up everything. Let's see. Renee, if I had to guess, we might get it with the 2 weeks. Oh, okay. That'd be cool. I have something else I wanted to talk about, but I'm gonna save that because I think I'm gonna stream again tomorrow night. So I'm gonna save that for that. But yeah, if you put these two podcasts together, the two pieces anyway, we're talking about 2.5 hours. So I'm gonna get out of here. It's 2 a.m. I want to play some games a little bit and relax. So I'm gonna call it right now. Thank you guys for jumping in. Those of you who had jumped in, got kicked out, and jumped back in, thank you as well. I'm glad you, Antonio and Renee, I'm glad you guys jumped in. You kept the chat going because it was doing pretty okay before we got knocked out, before Google took a dump. And then you came back, and I was a little worried that I wouldn't be able to keep talking, blah, blah, blah. But glad you guys jumped in, so appreciate that. Thank you guys. Thank you, Renee. Thank you, Antonio. There's more people in here. They haven't really said a whole lot. But let me scroll back and see the earlier folks. Nintendo Guy, thank you. Inglorious Bastards, he was in pretty early. Had to go. Jamaican Gamer, thanks. Tony McNeil, thank you very much. Stream Elements Bot, thanks. Thanks for whatever you did in your part to screw this whole thing up. No, but yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. Have a good night, fellas. And I don't think there's any ladies in here tonight. Have a good night, and I think I'll stream again tomorrow. So look forward to that, and I want to get into some stuff. So try to join me. I'll be much earlier tomorrow, probably 9 p.m. Eastern. So, all right. Thank you guys. Have a good night. Peace.